It's
Yeah,
fine.
if you spend 10 hours of work to save 3 seconds, like how long is it going to take to recover that time?
But if somebody wants to hack the firmware, I won't be angry. Just saying, if it's
Yeah.
legal. I'm not trying to get anyone in trouble, but well, it is Sony, so forget I said anything.
Now, I was only asking because I've got a Canon camera that doesn't have that issue. So maybe it's Sony that wants to just add an extra protection in there.
Well, I'm not a Sony apologist. I like them, but I got them on clearance, so I'm not going to
Right,
say
that's
that I
fair.
made this long decision to get a camera with lots of research. It was cheap at the time, and it was at Best Buy. They're trying to get rid of them, so I grabbed some cameras, and that's what it was. But if I was going to research, I probably would not have gone with Sony. The menus are so hard. I mean, you can't even like export your settings.
Mhm.
Like I like to have known good settings, like export my settings so I can import them back in. No, you take screenshots with your phone. That's how you do it. So that's basically how it goes. Which yay Sony, I guess. But is once you get them set up and just leave them alone, they're fine.
Yeah, yeah. That's how I feel as well. I don't touch my camera settings. I like every couple of months I'm like, maybe I should tweak a little bit, and then
hmm
I don't look at it again. Like I don't know what my settings are right now. I don't need to know what they are. I know they are fine. They're not
I
great.
obsess over audio personally, so it's like
Yeah.
what's your obsession with your equipment? Like what gear do you have to tweak the most? I'm curious.
Um my probably audio. Um Probably audio. Like I've messed around with like the EQ a ton of times, and I can never get it to a point where I'm perfectly happy. A big one for me is also like just little things like the distance of the mic away from my face and
Right.
how it's angled, like how it looks on the recording. Like, do I want it to be like this? Do I? And I actually need to replace this arm because this arm is a
You
little
you
bit
made it a lot
flaky.
easier on yourself. I made it harder on myself by, mandating I didn't want the microphone in the frame, and when you make that decision, you are increasing the difficulty level to
Yeah.
a uncomfortable level, but I was determined to
hmm
make that happen, and it took months to figure it out how to make it work, but I'm not recommending that, absolutely not, but
What does
I
your
guess to
setup look
your
like? What
point.
are you going on?
So I have like I forgot the name of the microphone. It's a Audio Technica, one of those long numbers. It's basically a shotgun hypercardioid,
I
if I need
have
to say
one
it.
in my closet that I'm not using right now. I need to mess around with it a bit more.
It goes into a channel strip, which goes into an audio interface, which then goes into a dedicated computer for recording
Right,
because I like
right.
to have the recording PC for taking all the footage in, so I don't have to, it's like an appliance basically. And I don't like to see, cables, so I always run the cables through the walls and,
Oh, you
just
hate
try to make sure you
my
can't
setup.
see
You can
anything.
see a
And
cable on the floor back under this arm.
I've seen it's fine. Nobody has to go to the obsessive level that I do. It's fine to see a microphone. There's no problem with it whatsoever. It's so much easier to deal with. It's a lot less work because
Mhm.
when you deal with distance, when you're trying to get it out of the frame, then you have to deal with a whole bunch of acoustic issues.
Yeah, yeah.
I've learned more about audio than I feel like I ever wanted to doing this.
I I'll mess around with the software stuff, but I need to mess around with like more like I've been wanting to like put foam up for a long time because I do have an echo problem in this room. Um, I've just mitigated it with the Shure SM7B, which is a god microphone. It
Just
so
put a just put a, foam behind your monitor, call it a day. Like, people overdo the
That's fair.
foam thing. It's like, I'll get the question a lot on the YouTube channel. They're like, when they saw my previous studio, like, "Why do you not have foam behind you?" And then I'll answer, "Well, my audio's not going behind me. I'm talking towards the camera, so I don't need anything back there." I mean,
Mhm.
sure, if your sound signal's bouncing off of walls, you might need that kind of thing, but I look at some of the people that do this, and I'm like, "Wow, you have a lot of foam padding here." I think, like, recording artists probably some of them probably have less than you.
Mhm. That's
So,
fair.
I think it's kind of overkill. Like, sometimes they'll make these little tiny foam shields just put behind your microphone,
Mhm.
like, literally the microphone, and the sound can't bounce back because it's being, hit right then and there before it
Mhm.
even leaves the microphone. But then again, audio, if you have a different kind of microphone where the pickup pattern is, around you, then that's
Mhm.
not gonna help you. It's just all these things. And it was the most frustrating thing to learn. And if I could go back, I would have hired somebody to just set it up for me and called it a day. Like it was way too long. Like there's people that would love to get an hourly rate to in exchange for helping you figure this out.
Hmm.
And yeah, if you get to my level of obsession, just let someone else deal with it. That's what I'm
Yeah.
telling myself anyway. I'll probably still mess with it.
Yeah, I know, I know. Like every so often, like I'll get just like an itch to change something. Usually it doesn't make it any better. It's like it is usually just as good in a slightly different way. And it'll be such a
Yep.
subtle change. This is the other problem. This is what we were saying before about like making sure your videos are perfect. You can make a very subtle change that nobody else is going to notice. Like it'll be
Right.
like a 1% like change in your sound signature, and at the moment you'll be like, this is so much better. You listen back to it and you're like, this sounds exactly the same. What am I doing?
Yeah, man. This First of all, what are you doing? Like I would say not to obsess over that level because if no one notices, then it's probably no point. But I feel also there might be value if you have a certain like sound in your head you want to get to,
Right,
and you
right.
want to kind of like incrementally get to that point. Yeah, I can totally see that being a good thing to tweak things constantly. But you just I feel like you just have to have an idea what you want it to sound like and then try to get it there and then call it good.
Mhm.
But then the problem with me is I just moved studios, so I had to go through all that again. So that took months to tune it, and it's still not where I want it.
Mhm.
So it's again, I probably could have hired somebody that would have probably set it all up in 1 hour, would have been done with it.
Mhm.
Probably someone that's good at this kind of thing, like I'm not.
Mhm.
But, yeah, I hear you. The audio thing is pretty annoying, but once you get it good, it's fine.
Mm.
It's just you just sit back and listen, "That sounds good."